Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I guess afternoon on the eastern side of the country, and good morning out to the west coast and mountain. And I guess it's high noon in the Central Plains. So it's good to have you all with us today to learn from the Dream Team. I think we've got a really good and very interesting webinar because we've got some of the most successful tanning consultants, or I should say ex-tanning consultants. Well, they're still tanning consultants, but they've moved on to bigger and better positions, but I'm sure they don't forget their roots and what they did to get there. So we've got some good folks I'm going to introduce to you in just a minute. And, you know, one thing I guess I've said it many times to ad nauseum, probably people don't want to hear it anymore, but there's no question that the battle for sales is won or lost at the counter. Either your salon or your competitors will win the customer to a unique experience, or you'll have to compete on price. And price is not the best way to compete. We use it maybe as a lost leader to get people in the store, but I like the saying, with only cheap price you live by the sword and you die by that same sword. Anybody that uses only price as the way to market and not the experience is going to lose. So again, welcome to our webinar today. And of course, as you've been on here before, you know that the audio transmission is one way. You can hear us. We can't hear you. But we can hear you through the comment box. So put your questions and your comments. It's going to last about 60 minutes. And as you know, I lie about that all the time because it ends up being about 75 minutes. And that's just because I talk too much. But anyway, there will be a brief Q&A. Now, when we say a Q&A at the end, what I prefer is if you have questions, put them in the comment box as we go on with the webinar, because we've got three very talented ladies on here today, and they're really excellent with high numbers, high PSA or high PTA, however you want to express it, per session average. So these guys really know what they're doing. So if you have to reconnect, you just dial that webinar invite number, and the recording will be available tomorrow on my website, johnrfr.com, as it will also on the Sun is Life website as well. So go ahead and listen to that again if you like. And the web series is brought to you by IST Magazine and its Sun is Life Training and Certification Program. And there's two rather incredibly attractive men, of course myself, and Mr. Tony. Tony, how are you today, sir?
I could be a lot better, John.
Yeah, I know. and listen, you know, if you people, you haven't met Tony, if you haven't met Tony, Tony is he's a big guy across the chest and the shoulders. So when he tells me he has a chest cold, I want to say to him, well, you must hurt all over, because I think he's basically all chest. He looks like somebody.
Last week I was Mr. No Neck, so.
Well, you're a big guy. You're a big guy. So,
well, it's a lot of chins. More chins, no neck.
More chins than a Chinese outing. Yes. Okay. Well, I can only say those things about you, Tony, because I'm not in the same room with you, and I don't want to get hurt. So,
we'll catch
and of course, our tech wizard is with us. David, you there?
I am here. Hello, everyone.
Good. And just so you know, we've had lots of calls. People want to do the Facebook app that we have, which David is working as hard as he can to get everybody set up on it. So if you do want to do that, just contact David directly. You see his email, dave@marketmetan.com. Now, let me introduce our panelist. The first one I'm going to introduce I don't think is still on, which is a little weird. This is kind of unlike her, so I'm hoping that everything is okay. April Kreil, and she's the one on the right, as you can probably tell in the picture. She's the one with the curly locks there. She is the general manager of Sun Studio LA, which is a two-salon chain out in Los Angeles, large volume salons, and she has been in the business for, I think, 10, 11 years, something like that. I've worked with her. I hired her and promoted her, and she is just fantastic. She has a PSA that's just off the charts, normally in the $15, $16 range, and she's just an excellent salesperson. And April, if you do come on, please identify that you are on, but I don't think she's on yet. So let me continue on with our introductions. And next I want to introduce, there she is, Savannah McCullough, salon manager of Tropicana in Nashville, and I have to say the savior of Tropicana. She didn't do it single-handedly, but she certainly had a major percentage of turning this salon around, almost in a breathtaking time. In 30 days, this salon went from being in big trouble to having a big year last year, 2013. So, Miss Savannah, how are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're just absolutely wonderful. Okay, let's introduce our newest member to the panel, and this is the lovely and talented Alex Rodriguez. Now, Alex has got quite a background in tanning herself. She was a tanning consultant, and then she was an assistant manager, and then a manager, and then a district manager, and now she's the training director for South Beach Tanning Company. Alex, are you there?
Hi, John. I'm here.
All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. What's kind of nice about the three panelists we have is that we've got a single operation, a two-store operation, and Alex is the training director for, I think, this summer the company will install its 40th store, Alex?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Wow. So this is what you do full-time. Now, Savannah not only has to train and hire and redirect employees, but she does a lot of selling herself. Alex, do you get much of a chance to be at the counter and do some selling to keep yourself sharp on that?
Oh, absolutely. Every single location that I do training at, I like to spend time in the store, spend time with the girls, just so that I know what they need to focus on while they're in there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to stay sharp on your on your craft. So, well, let me go through a real brief outline of what we're going to try to get done here today. Selling from entry to exit, 8 stages to selling success. Of course, there's first the qualifier, or creating a rapport and determining what the customer wants, because that is obviously always important. There is the evaluation. Now, this is what I call it. I mean, there's nothing sacred about this. Alex and Savannah and April may, use different terminology. It's entirely up to them. But this is what I just give a brief idea of how these stages go. The evaluation determines what the customer needs, and then we've got the tour, which the tour sometimes can be right at the counter, because if you've got people in line, it's hard to take someone down a hallway and show them all the tanning equipment, but sometimes you can, so it can be at the counter or through the salon. And of course what that does is provides the features and benefits options of the different equipment, and when you've gotten through with your qualifier and your evaluation, you should have some kind of an idea of what to present to them, and that's what the presentation is, the consultant's presentation of prices and values. Now, I know that one of the more important things, too, is handling objections, particularly price objections, and they have to be overcome sometimes. And, of course, one of the key words, and I'll put it out there for Savannah and Alex to comment on when we get to the next slide, and that is differentiation. If you get to the point, which I mentioned earlier, where all of your marketing or all of your pricing, or all of your comparisons, rather, is on price alone, you're in big trouble. The more you can differentiate your salon, your services, and the experience from somebody else, the more price does not become an issue. But that has to be handled that way. And then, of course, we've got the close, or what are these dream teamers, as we're referring to you ladies, what do you like to use to close a sale? Because you don't always use probably the same close. There's different situations that require a different approach to it, but I'd like to hear what they have to say. And then, of course, there's the follow-up. How does your salon or salons handle reinforcing customer investment? Because the customer investment is not just money, but it's also time. There's probably no worse combination than a customer coming into your salon that has spent money and then spends the time in a bed that's maybe not clean, or the bulbs are gray, or it's just something is not working out there, because that's a double whammy then that really sends them out the door thinking, I should find another salon. And of course, lastly, the retention. how do we hold on to customers, which is a particularly important subject right now. Maybe not particularly right now, but in another 30 or 60 days, we're going to say those EFTs that we work so hard to get, how are we going to hold on to them into the third and fourth quarter. So those are just some points, and really what they are for Savannah and for Alex, they're just discussion points. There's nothing sacred about them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to what I call the qualifier, and these are just some things here. And again, remembering we buy and rebuy from those that we know, like, and trust. And just get it started here the right way here. Okay, so the greeting. Let's go to Savannah. Let me start with you. How do you like to greet somebody when they come in? Is there a particular approach that you have? I mean, do you come from out behind the counter, or do you? I mean, how do you like to greet the customer when they come in?
We're in the South, so it's usually, "Hey, girl, how are you doing today?" And then, usually, normally I do like their scarf or their boots or something, so I'll pick something out and then kind of just go from there and just make them feel more welcome.
It's interesting that you say we're in the South, because I know I've lived all over this country, and when I lived in Atlanta, I noticed that, moving from the Midwest down to Atlanta, every place I went, restaurant, wherever it was, "How are you today, darling?" I mean, it was, and I think it's just
yeah.
It's just part of the South.
It is.
Now, if you go real south and you get to Orlando, maybe it's a little bit different. Alex, what do you tell your people when you're training them about how to greet employees when they come in the door?
I always tell them to be as conversational as possible. I hate when the girls ask the customer yes or no questions, like, "Hi, did you want a tan today?" or "Hi, what's your last name?" Like closed-ended questions. It's really important to me that they're as conversational as possible, because you never know what the customer wants to talk about or what the customer wants to tell you about their day. And almost everything can be used as a way to open the sale when you're having a conversation with them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a very good point. I think, Alex, you and I were talking the other day, and I think I shared with you that, when I've done a lot of secret shopper tours, when I go out to work with clients, that's one of the things that just turns me off as I come in the door. And I've actually had the experience where I've walked in, and all that person behind the counter said to me, didn't even say hi, just said last name. And it's like last name, and you were in bed number 3. Is that fine? Okay, it's ready to go. I mean, just no involvement at all. And so really the question becomes, what's a surefire way to gain rapport? And I wish that April was on here, because I've seen her in action. She's very good at complimenting people, but also in a very sincere way. And Savannah, you're from the South, so you've got kind of that Southern hospitality, I think, makeup to you. So is that the kind of thing that you do? You're trying to find something about the person that you can compliment?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more about being super friendly and just making them feel really welcome, like they're coming to your house to have dinner or something. That's just the way that I do it. I just approach it that way. I do look at them as guests and clients, but I also look at them like they're my best friend.
And and if you're sincere about that, they can really feel that, can't they?
Right.
And it's they probably expect it there. Now, there are some parts of the country where that may not be as acceptable. There are some parts that are just a little bit different. But boy, particularly down there in the South, I think that's kind of the standard operating procedure. Alex, how about you? How do you like to gain rapport?
I love gaining rapport by using their name. I like to, as soon as they walk in the door, if I know their name, I make it a point to use it, just so that they know that I value them as an individual, not just as a client, not just as like the usual. But it's so important to me to acknowledge them and address them in a respectful way. And if I know them and I love them as my client, I always find something to compliment them on, Just like Savannah was saying, if I find something that I like, if I genuinely like their outfit or their purse or their watch or whatever the case may be, I'll make it a point to acknowledge it.
Isn't that, guys, isn't that really crazy? I mean, we're all when it comes right down to it, we're all very vain. We like to be complimented. And we really are. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, you know, there's always the conversation about how women are vain. Well, men are just as vain. There's no doubt about that. I mean, when I go to the gym and I play ball 3 times a week, basketball 3 times a week, and when I go in there, I don't care what my hair looks like because none of the guys would care. You know, oh, John, your hair looks so nice today. No, no one's not going to really care about that. But, you know, if I make a good shot and they kind of, hey, that's a hell of a shot, I like that. I mean, we're all, you know, you know, that we're susceptible to taking those compliments. We like that. And, of course, we like having our names remembered, too. And I think particularly in the tanning business, we have to build up that rapport, and someone's got to know that we think they're important. And if we think they're important, we're going to remember their names. How do you get, Alex, in your training, how do you get the people that you're training, how do you get them to accept, because I'm sure not everybody that walks through the door for South Beach Tanning is an Alex Rodriguez, so how do you get them to understand these things that we're talking about so far?
Well, I always tell them, you know, treat that customer like it's your mom. Treat that customer like it's your best friend. So if your mom walks into an establishment, how would you like her to be treated? And the girls can usually do a pretty good job of putting themselves in those shoes and just being like, okay, well, if my mom walks somewhere, I would like her to be known. I would like people to treat her with respect.
So treat them like they're your mom.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
well, my mom used to slap me around all the time. So no, I'm kidding. No, my mom was wonderful. And, you know, you talk about, and I kind of go back to what you're saying, kind of the same thing that Savannah was saying, is that it's you're treating them like they're your new best friend, and they can pick up on that. And part of that, too, is what I like is when they're coming in is to guess, you know, first of all, what is their schedule today? Because, you know, they might be in a hurry, and they may not be into chit-chat, and that's sometimes, you know, that's just, you know, the way they are. Hello?
Sorry, you might have heard my son in the background.
Oh, that's okay. I thought Alex has kind of a high-pitched voice already, and I thought her voice was higher.
Oh, sorry.
Savannah, that's okay because, listen, my dogs are sitting in front of my office window, and the next time a squirrel goes by, you guys are going to hear a lot of barking, I'm sure. So, especially when you have two large golden... What's that?
I was telling them to be as quiet as church mice. They didn't get that memo, apparently.
Well, they may have a definition of church mice. No.
Exactly.
Okay. So anyway, your immediate goal. Everybody wants to feel important. I mean, we're all that way. There's no question about it. And that, to me, is one of the biggest ways of differentiating ourselves from the competition. Because there are a lot of chains out there, a lot of stores, a lot of salons that will offer cheap price, but I tell you, it's still won or lost at the counter. So let me move to let me get to the next thing, what I call the evaluation. And now, skin typing. This is another thing that's interesting. In all the secret shoppers that we've done with clients, it's so rare that I ever hear of anybody really doing some good skin typing, because, you know, if somebody walks in with red hair and freckles, that's a challenge right there. You know, this is one of the challenges of our industry, is they have to make sure that our people are professional, which is what Tony's trying to do with the Sun is Life program. But, you know, Savannah, do you see your people, I mean, is that one of the things that you talk to them about, is making sure that they're looking at this person not just as a potential commission, but also as somebody that's got to be properly lined up with the equipment and lotions they're going to use?
Yes, actually, we don't have in place right now like a skin typing chart, like a questionnaire that, you know, that they answer, which we're trying to get right now. But in my previous experience, that was one of the most useful tools that I've ever had.
Really?
Because, yeah, anybody can come in and tell you, oh yeah, I don't burn. No, put me in the full time. But that's not the case. It's just not. And I mean, it's just a lot better. I think that when you have that chart and you have the questions, you know, and the answers, and you can go off of that. Otherwise, it's just kind of a guessing game. from my experience now, though.
Well, and actually, what you said, it's very powerful. If you look back, Savannah, 10, 15 years ago, had we had a press for professionalism, which is what Tony's whole approach to the Sun is Life program is, if we had had that pressure on professionalism, we would have had less people burned, and I think it might have made a lot less pressure for us today, because there is kind of a holdover from years ago when you had people in the tanning salon industry that were not professionals, that were amateurs, and would throw anybody into any bed. And the best customer service you can do is to make sure that this person doesn't take on something they shouldn't be in. Alex, do you guys monitor that? I mean, do you stress that with your trainees?
Yeah, we do. Whenever a customer comes in, let's say they're a first-time client, they do fill out a skin type questionnaire, kind of like the one Savannah was referring to. That gives us a better idea of how we should be tanning that client, because oftentimes girls will focus on commission instead of focusing on what is right for the client. So that skin type questionnaire an extra step to where they can focus on, wait, this is a person that you're tanning, this is somebody's skin you're taking care of, so what should you do for them specifically?
Right.
And by the way, what you said there too is important. I'm sure for you and Savannah, that's got to be a tough challenge at times to get the girls or in occasion guys to focus on what's good for the customer and not just for their commission, and that's got to be a real challenge. I mean, I don't know how do you impart those values to the people that work for you?
I always tell the staff and everybody, it's about keeping their business over time. It's about keeping them happy over time. Sometimes it's very easy to have a very bulky sale right up front where you sell them this, that, and the other thing all in one get-go. But if they're not happy, they're not going to come back and continue to invest their time with us. So to me, it's more important and it's more valuable to have somebody spend over time than to spend in all one shot and then never come back in.
It's the lifetime value of the customer is really what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
Savannah, you were going to say something?
Yeah, well, with the girls at my salon, they're really familiar with the skin typing chart in general, even though the actual questionnaire we don't have at the salon. So they're very, very careful about it because, I will reprimand if the client gets burned because there is no burning. Yeah. Our biggest problem that we have is more or less with the clients who, their first visit, they want to go the full amount of time, and it's just, I actually had a lady yesterday who wanted to do the full time, and it was like her third visit, and I was like, I can't do that. And I was like, for one, in the back of my mind, I want to be stern about it, but I'm just like, you're going to waste your money because you're not going to be able to come in and tan for a few days. So, we have more trouble with the client.
Well, you handle it that way from the standpoint of the benefit to her, and
right.
And that's Now, moving on here in the evaluation, tanning plans and desires. And this is something that's, I think a lot of times, when I go and I do a secret shop, this seems to get forgotten, is just asking, what are your plans? Is there a particular reason why you're tanning? Do you just want to look tan? Have you got an event or whatever? It just seems to me like it's one of those things that's forgotten at times. So, Alex, tell me, what do you tell your people as far as getting to the customer about plans and desires?
Well, it's all about keeping a conversation. Also, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, where it's important for the staff to have a conversation with the client because, maybe they're going on a cruise, maybe they're getting married. These are all things that are going to open you up to different routes that you can go when it comes to the sale. So obviously, if somebody's telling me that they're just tanning for a cruise, I'm going to go down one route, and if somebody's telling me that they just moved to the area and they're a regular tanner, I'm going to go down a separate route. So it's important that they have conversations with the customer regarding what their plans are, just in general, like who they are as people, what they like to do.
It develops that rapport. I mean, it's like I was telling you, Alex, the other day where I did a secret shop in a market out west, which I won't name right now, but I went to 32 salons in 3 days, and I threw, and as I think I told you, I threw a softball out to each person, each one of those salons. I said, my wife and I are going back to Hawaii, where we were married a number of years ago, and we haven't tanned for a number of years. I mean, I threw out a pitch there that could have been knocked out of the park. And only one of the 32 salons got into it and said, oh, my goodness, that's great. What island are you going to? And the next thing I knew, this lady was my best friend. And if I hadn't been a spy, if I hadn't been a secret shopper, I would have definitely bought from her. But the others, it was basically, okay, last name, you know, oh, okay, you haven't tanned here before, okay. Well, here, buy this most expensive package, EFT, and this bottle of black, and so I can make my commission. And that's the way I felt about it. Let me, and then, of course, you got tan history or status. And let's talk about the customer's evaluation of their past satisfaction. And I like, you know, past satisfaction with bed, service, and prices. And that pertains to not only where they may have gone to somebody else, competition, but it pertains to, you know, tanning in your salon too. And Savannah, when you are talking to a customer and maybe getting them to evaluate their past satisfaction, doesn't that also give you an extra point of what maybe your employees are doing if they're if this customer is not satisfied and they've been in the same bed, and you know, and I love, of course, the question, are you getting as dark as you want? But you know, that kind of evaluation, doesn't that kind of give you a step up on what your employees are doing?
Yes, that's like the best weapon ever to use. But the open-ended question, like Alex was saying, that's the best thing that you can do for yourself, your salon, and your clients. That is the best thing.
Yeah.
If you're not asking those, you're not finding out what their needs are. And if you're not finding out what their needs are, they're not going to come back.
Well, you know, one of the questions that doesn't get asked often is about lotions. They'll, you know, or if it does get asked, they'll say, "And do you have your lotion today?" And I think, Alex, you and I were talking about, I think it was you, Alex, that said, I'll ask them about, or maybe it was April, I can't remember now. I'll ask them about lotions and to see if I, you know, can see what lotion they're using. And then you may want to make a suggestion to them about, well, that lotion is good. In other words, you're never going to do a downer on it, but here's something I think it works for me, and I think it's better, whatever. I mean, I don't want to misquote you, Alex, but what do you do when somebody comes in and you ask them about that lotion and you're trying to upsell them?
So if I ask somebody about their lotion, I think that was us that we were talking about it.
Okay. Well, I'm old, Alex. I can't remember who I talked to.
So I like to ask the question, what lotion are you using today? Not, are you using a lotion? Not, do you like your lotion? I just say, what lotion are you using today?
Oh, there you go. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and then that'll typically open up the conversation to where they can tell me about their lotion, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and based off of their interests and needs, I can either recommend a separate lotion for them to amplify the results with, or I can, you know, just simply compliment them on their decision. Like, oh, I love that lotion too, love the fragrance, and just make it conversational and build some more rapport that way. But oftentimes if I run into the situation where I'm like, what lotion are you using today? And they're not using a lotion or they're not really interested in lotion, I make it kind of, I don't pinpoint it on them, but I'll just say, well, I like to use lotion and here's why. I never try to be like, well, here's why you should use lotion and make it a lecture. I just like to be informational and kind of give them all the information that they need so that they can make an informed decision on the purchase.
Which goes back to the theory, the best theory about selling is it's always better if the customer thinks that they're making the decision because you're providing the options. Yeah, it's true. Well, one of the things that you have to do to help them make a better decision, of course, is the tour. Now, I've got it down here as good, better, best, presenting the small incremental cost to getting the best tanning. Now, I know that some people, and it might be one of you two that do this, I know that some people do it on a best, better, good, that they start at the top and work down. I guess whatever works for you, you know, works for you. And so I think the important thing is that incremental cost and, you know, how small it is compared to getting the best tanning experience. So let me ask you, Savannah, do you like, when you do a tour, whether that tour is at the counter where you can't get away to take people through the salon, but you can show them the different equipment from a sales sheet, or you take them on the physical tour, do you like to do the good, better, best, or do you like to go to the best and work down? how do you like to present a tour of the equipment?
No, I usually start at the bottom, and I never, a lot of people always will, push for the best, and I'm not saying don't do that. I just always go based off of the customer's needs, and that's alone, just period. But I always start at the bottom, and then, I explain the benefits of it, how long it will probably take to build a base tan built on, their tanning history and their skin type, and then I just work my way up, and I let them make their decision.
Well, it's kind of like what Alex is saying. You're providing first of all a service by making them informed, and then you're probably also trying to guide them in some ways to what you think is going to be best for them anyway. But again, if they make the decision, that's better. How does South Beach Tanning like to do it, Alex?
We like to follow the same model. So we like to start with our lower levels and then work our way up. Because that way, every time you visit a new level, it's impressive. You're equally impressed every step of the way. I find that if you start with your higher levels and then go down, it's hard to impress them once they've already seen the high pressure with all of the bells and whistles.
I agree with you. I know now this is my 24th year of this insanity, but I remember years ago somebody came through this industry and said, oh, no, start at the most expensive lotion and the most expensive equipment, the most expensive package. See, and what I don't like about that is that most of those cases, there was not a rapport developed. And as I was saying, these 32 secret shops I did out west, nobody was, except for the one lady, nobody was trying to develop a rapport with me. I felt that I was being used, that somebody was just wanting to reach into my pocket, and it was so obvious that they were trying to cash in on a big commission. So, it's like you see sometimes with some salons around the country where their commission or bonus program on EFTs only pays off on the higher levels. And so, and this just happened, by the way, on another client out west, where he used to have a bonus, an EFT bonus, paid on only the top levels. He had 5 levels of tanning. And so his PCA, his per customer average over the year was very high, but yet his revenue was nowhere near where it could have been because the people that would have been in a EFT level 1, 2, or 3 were not buying, and the reason they weren't buying is they weren't being sold it or they weren't being presented it. And so what we did is we've changed that, and it's really affected his revenue considerably. Okay, so we're talking about features and benefits, and really, a feature may not necessarily be a benefit. Is Savannah, did you say something?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I heard a noise and I wasn't sure. Okay, so features and benefits. Ladies, let me ask you, and I think sometimes the restroom and the after tan facilities, the mirror that, me, I don't like looking in a mirror. It reminds me of what an old fart I am. But I know that when people get through tanning, they want to put on their makeup and they want to do this and whatever. So, but you got to listen to what's important to the person. So, Alex, talk to us about features and benefits. Is that one of the things you drill into your people, is to know all of that equipment?
Yeah, absolutely. So they need to be telling about all of the different, the bells and whistles inside each bed, because all of the beds are going to get you tan. That's not really so much of a differentiating factor anymore. It's about what the experience is going to be like and how they're going to enjoy their session. And then we always include, just like you have listed, the restroom in our tours, because that is an important part of the process, as well as where we keep, our monthly flyers, where they can find our specials, how they can get acquainted with our salons. So we'd always throw in like us on Facebook, make sure to check up on our specials, sign up for our email program so that they can experience as much as they can while they're with us.
Well, let me jump in here, ladies. We have a question from Sal, and Sal, I apologize that I didn't see it now, so this might be a little redundant on what the ladies were saying, have already said, but let's go with it anyway. And because Sal's asking, what is your opinion of using the good, better, best method? So showing 3 and cycling back to the best, or the lotion you are ultimately wanting to sell the client. Let's see. Ladies, did you hear that?
I understood it.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, good, Savannah, because I think it might be the sinus thing, and I think I got this. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I think that they're asking is, if you're showing the good, better, best, that you're geared more towards this bed, if you really feel that that's their best bet as far as their tan plan, that's what's going to get them the best results, then just really express that and give benefits as to why. Say, well, you can go to this, bed here, but however, I think that you're going to benefit more from this, and here's why. As far as the lotion, go ahead.
And because Sal is asking also about the lotion, go ahead.
Yeah, so as far as the lotion, now I am kind of backwards with the lotion. I've always been taught to go from the top and work my way down, and a lot of people kill me when I say this, but I'm just going to be honest.
No, we'd rather you lied to us. Go ahead. If I start with the top brand lotion, and I do a lot, and they look at me like, you're crazy, then I'll ask them, is there a budget that you have in mind? And I will find the best lotion that I can for you based on what your skin needs. And that's what I do. Okay. Interesting. Now, do you ever do you also throw in the testimonial side of selling that lotion? In other words, something that you personally use?
Yes, I always do that. And if I don't, I'll steal somebody else's story from the salon and use it as my own. But I always do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I've seen that in action, and I'm sure Alex, you've seen that too. Because if you have that rapport, and you say, I see that you have a lotion with you today. Are you happy with that lotion? By the way, this is what I use. If you have that rapport, I'm guessing they would buy Axle Grease from you if you recommended it.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
My approach to sales. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say my approach to sales is I'm a very honest salesperson, if there is such a thing. Of course, there's all the benefits to using this and that, and I will give you all of that. And I recommend that you use all of this, but I'm very, very honest about it. I'm not going to try to push, the high-end bronzing lotion if I don't think that you need a high-end bronzing lotion. If you have more mature skin, if your skin is more mature, then yes, you need this, and this is why. So.
What would you say to somebody that's like me, that's 67 and has very mature skin?
I would say that you need this awesome lotion because it is basically luxury skincare with tan ingredients added.
and plus throw in a beer too, will you?
That's right.
Okay. Now Fawn joined us late, and she said, I missed the beginning. Now Fawn, we won't allow that in the future. We have Tony is our security guy. If you miss in the future, Tony will. Never mind. No. Anyway, Fawn said I missed the beginning because I was selling the best. Good for you, Fawn. Will this be available? I assume she's talking about the webinar, and yes, it'll be available tomorrow on both the Power Group site, the John R. Farr site, and it's also it'll be on the Son is Life site. Okay, so moving on here because I'm getting a little bit behind here, but I love what you ladies are saying. And of course, if time exists when you're doing the tour, you show them all the equipment, which and reciting the bells and whistles, and sometimes you can do that, and sometimes you can't. One of the things I like, ladies, is staff intros. Now, it may not be that the first time that they're in there, but I tell you, if somebody buys an EFT, particularly an EFT, or even a 30-day package, I like them to know the rest of the people as much as you can. So if you sell it to them, and then when they come back in, if there's another one of the staff that's working there, I like to introduce them, because I think the last thing you want is to have the rapport of a tanner with only one person there. You want them to feel good about the family, that they're part of that family. I don't know, and I don't know if that's probably maybe easier for Savannah to control with one store than it is for Alex, who's got this small army of people that she works with. But how do you feel about that, Alex, as far as getting those staff intros so people know somebody other than the consultant that sold them?
Oh, I love it. I think it's such a, and it's not something I've ever really thought about before until we spoke about it, John, but I love the idea of while you're giving a tour, if somebody who's in a uniform walks by, maybe introduce that person who's in a uniform. Just be like, oh, she'll be here too. She's somebody you can expect to see, and it just makes them feel more welcome in that home, not like they're intruding on our space, but not like we're welcoming them into our store.
Well, Alex, you just brought up something that I've got a real sharp opinion about. What I probably visit more tanning salons in a year than just about anybody in this business. And I know that South Beach, I know that you guys have shirts, monogram shirts. I think, do you use name tags as well?
We do not, no.
Okay. Well, that's something I just like. I mean, you're down in Mickey country there. You're down in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to any of the Disney properties, most of the time you're going to see a person that has a name tag on, and they have their first name, not last name, of course, because there's a bunch of wackos out there, but they have their first name on there. And some of the properties, and I think it's Epcot I went to, where they have below the name, they have the town or city that this person was originally from. And it just gives a kind of a feeling of commonality. I just think it's a way of opening up some kind of a rapport. But back to the shirt. I love the monogram shirt, and I just think it's the way to go. I don't know, Savannah, if you guys have done that yet. It's just that, as far as what the tanning consultant is wearing on the bottom, I don't know if that's the way to say it, the lower half of the body, let's say it that way. But I think there at least should be a shirt, and then at least somebody knows when they're in there that if there's another tanning consultant there, they'll know that they actually work there and they're not a customer. I think, Alex, you guys do have South Beach shirts that they have to wear, right?
Absolutely. We have V-necks, we have polos, and then our managers are wearing kind of like a nicer button-up version of the polos, just to help differentiate them so any customer that walks in the door knows who they can go to for questions.
Savannah, have you guys gone for that yet?
Oh man, we're like walking billboards. We have we have hoodies that have our logo down, or the name of the salon down the side of the arm, which they're super cute, and they also have our logo. We do have T-shirts. Yeah. No, we do. We have the option, or the variety, I guess, of we can wear the same color shirts without the logo as long as our name tags are on. But for the most part, we have the embroidered shirts, but we usually do like black, gray, or white.
Oh, that's fantastic. I like what you said, walking billboard.
Yeah. I wear my hoodie everywhere I go.
We did this with an account, by the way, with a client out west that gets involved. They get involved in a lot of the festivals that take place where they have on the back of the shirts, they have what do you call it, a PR code? No. Oh, David would probably know. What do you call it? David, what's that code that the little thing that?
Oh yeah, a QR code.
Thank you. Okay, a QR code, and they put a QR code on the back of that shirt, and then on top of the QR code it says, "Scan me, tan me," and so you can take your phone and you can scan that QR code, and what comes up is a deal on a either it's a spray tan or a free tan or whatever. So that's something when you talk about walking billboards, Savannah. That's something you guys might want to think of sometime, because that's kind of a cool thing to do. Since QR codes are, seem to be all around us everywhere.
Right.
Okay, so let's get to the presentation, and come here, Mr. Okay, there we go. All right, so explaining the various services and equipment on a price per session comparison. This is something that I'm really kind of impassioned about, because when you're doing it on a price per session basis, well, let me stop here for a second. It may be that Alex, whoever you're selling to, or Savannah, whoever you're selling to, it may be that they picked out the equipment they want, and maybe price is not an issue. You do find there are markets, higher socioeconomic markets, where maybe, and like Savannah, your salon is I think in the second highest per capita income market in the entire Nashville area, I believe. It's you guys got a lot of money there, and Alex is in Orlando and Tampa and Fort Lauderdale, so she's got a lot of markets where they also have money. So maybe price isn't always the issue, but I think a lot of times it is. And so I like to use this sheet, and I talk to everybody about this all the time, as a price per session comparison. And when you do it on a per session comparison, it provides an easy selling presentation for tanning consultants. And really in selling what's important, and I know that you guys are going to agree with me on this. If you can make the presentation simple, if you can make it easy. You know, it used to be in this business back 15 years ago, you'd walk into a salon and they'd have 80 or 90 different potential selections of lotions. And they used to have a sheet, a pricing sheet for their different levels of tanning that you had to be a graduate of MIT to figure out. And so if it was difficult for the consumer, it was also difficult for the salesperson. Well, I like to make it simple. And I don't know, Alex, how you feel about that, but I mean, if we can take people at the counter and we can have them really very confident about what they're going to present because it's real simple, they're going to sell it more because they want to get that EFT bonus or whatever. So, Alex, jump in here and tell me what you think.
I think that it's really important for the staff to at least have a basic understanding of what the cost savings is for the client because, I mean, you know, there are those customers that price isn't really an issue, but more often than not, people are going to be concerned about their budget and concerned about just how much they're going to be spending. So if you can break it down for them to where they can understand, you know, with the membership, you would be saving more than the 30-day pass, more than the 6-pack, more than the single session price, whatever the case may be, then they're more willing to put up the money up front if they know it's going to save them money over time.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going to show you a chart here in a minute, and let me just look at my questions. Somebody asked a question here, and I don't want to ignore them here. Okay, just a second here. Okay, Sal asked about the QR code, and Sal, I hope I explained it with as limited of technology as I have. If we could take an aside here, and David could explain it more, but QR codes I think are going to become more and more something that should be used, particularly, like I said, on shirts, because it's just, you've got a younger generation, the millennials, that are going to be using it more and more. Now, I also have a question here, or is it a comment? Now, I don't know if this is I think this is from Terry. And Terry's comment was, John, why don't you shut up? No, Terry didn't say that. I'm sorry. She said uniforms must be, or should be a must. Management should be different from staff. I agree with that. I agree. Even sunless should be a logo uniform that all staff wears. Okay? And she said, we do khaki on the bottom. Or was that tacky? No, it's khaki. Okay. Khaki on the bottom. Very professional looking. This helps clients if they have questions. Just help in. Okay, yeah. So yes, Terry, I agree with you. I think it looks much more professional. You guys, Savannah and Alex. I mean, Alex, for the travel that you do, because you have to do travel with these salons all over the place, and I'm sure when you're on the road and you're traveling, you're going through competition's salons. And I don't know about you, but when I do that, or I look at competition and they're not professionally dressed, it just absolutely turns me off. It says to me that this is a business that appears to be someone's hobby, or it has kind of that mom and pop, which, please, people that are out there that have one salon or two salons, I'm not shooting at, it's a mentality that, well, make sure you just show up for work on time, and I don't care if you've done your makeup or your hair. But that to me just sends me right through the ceiling to walk in and see somebody dressed like they're a refugee from some other country. I just hate to see that. We had a lady out west that she came to work with shorts, Daisy May type shorts on, that was, shall we say, was revealing her name and address, I guess. So what do you do, Savannah, what do you do if somebody shows up and they're not properly dressed and without hair and makeup and that kind of thing?
They go home.
They go home, exactly.
They go home.
Home.
We just brought in, because we do have some girls there that have amazing skin and are just beautiful without makeup. However, I brought in, because they weren't wearing it, and, I was letting them know, hey, that's something that you have to do. You need to dress like you're going on your first date with a new guy or a new girl. That's how you need to dress when you come in here. And we have a face place there for the clients to get, ready after, their tanning session or whatnot. But we also have in the back in our break room bronzing powder, mascara, lip gloss, eyeliner, body spray, everything that you can think of. So there's no excuse, and it's just something that has to be done.
I think appearance.
Well,
is so
well,
Sorry,
go ahead, Alex.
Sorry. So I think appearance is so important just because it is, we're an industry based first and foremost on aesthetics. So if the person behind the register does not look to their best or does not look at their prime, then the person who's going to invest in their looks is not willing to spend on that look as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but it is they're investing in how they're going to appear after they're done tanning, and if the person who's trying to sell it to them does not look their best, then I would be less likely to spend.
Absolutely, absolutely. Aspiration. I mean, they aspire to look like, they want somebody to aspire to. So if the person behind the counter looks like they just got out of bed, I mean, that's not exactly a great way to sell what we're doing. Let's go back to on this price per session thing, because it's one of my passions. Of it's a good way to set up an obvious value of membership for consumers. It's one of the things I think that a lot of people still, a lot of salon owners and managers have not really mastered yet, and that's getting to the potential of EFT. I have, by the way, Alex, I have your owner's, Brian's permission to say, and I think actually Brian was on the last webinar anyway, he does more than 50% of his revenues in EFT. Now, I recommend to everybody that a good halfway point is maybe 35% of your revenues in EFT, and that will sustain you through the summer months, third and fourth quarter, at least 35%. But most of the time when a new client comes to us, we're looking at a very low percentage of EFT. And then there's even a client that came to, or a potential client that came to us a few weeks ago, that is, and this, Savannah and Alex, you're going to be shocked. This salon has not sold their first membership yet. And you think, how can you possibly survive in this business? I mean, what do you do come August? It's anyway.
Right.
So anyway, the obvious value of membership, get customers away from sessions package. Yes, you do have to sell some sessions packages on occasion because some people, it's the only thing they'll buy. But I tell you, anything that sells large blocks of sessions or minutes or points or sun dollars is absolutely the wrong way to go, because it gets people looking at it like a checkbook, and it just does not work. Your best thing is to compress tanning to a definable timetable so you've got more opportunity for upselling. And that's, again, we shouldn't be in the business of selling upgrades. We should be in the business of selling upgraded level. And of course, the presentation helps to increase membership count. Now, let me just show you this. And Alex, you probably saw this for the first time when I sent you over the draft of this presentation. So I'd be kind of curious to see, what you think. Savannah has seen this before, probably a couple times ad nauseum. But it assumes 12 tans per a 30-day package or an EFT package. And just as an example, and this is a real salon I'm showing here. It may not be the pricing that the attendees have got in their market, but just to show you how this works out. I've watched this in action, Savannah and Alex. I've seen this work live, where you put this price sheet down and you're showing the different levels. Okay, so if you're interested in level 1 tanning, you can buy a single session for $10. Or if you buy a 10-session package, obviously it's $3.99 per. If you buy a 30-day package at $29.99, it's only $2.50. And if you get an EFT, look at this, assuming 12 tans, it's $1.67. I mean, it's so much. And what I like about this is that for a lot of times the younger employees that we have that maybe don't have the background or the initiative or the drive or the personality of our two dream teamers here on this call, it gives them something simple. And when it's simple, it gets sold. And you can see here as you go on the various levels, as you go through this whole analogy, it is so much cheaper. And there are people, and Savannah, I think, Savannah, you faced this when you first took over Tropicana. I believe you had employees that felt uncomfortable trying to sell an EFT. Is my memory correct on that?
No, you're right.
And I think because they think that they're pressuring the customer, they think they're doing them a disservice. And really what you're doing exactly the opposite. That's right. You're helping them by getting them, cheaper prices, and because they're cheaper, they're going to sustain their tanning actions. They're going to come back to you more often, and it's going to be better for their tan, and it's certainly better for their pocketbook in the long run. Alex, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this approach. What do you think of it?
Okay, so it's so important for the staff to understand that you're doing somebody a favor by signing them up for the EFT. We do a lot of, Sassy Tanning Company does a lot of what we call salon conversions, where somebody will buy into our brand and convert over to the South Beach brand. And we just recently did a conversion out in Pennsylvania where they didn't have too many people on their EFT program. Because
now Alex, you're talking, Alex, let me just jump in. What you're saying, so the attendees know, you're talking about somebody that was running a tanning salon or owned a tanning salon, and when you say your brand, they became a franchisee of South Beach.
Yes, so they
correct.
converted
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Yep. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
so they converted over to our brand, and they had, I think it was something like 7 people on their EFT plan as their previous brand. But what we were able to do is to go in and just show the girls, listen, this is how much you're saving your customers by getting them to sign on to the EFT program. And I have no idea. I couldn't even ballpark the amount of EFTs that they have now, but within a 1-month span, they had so many people on their EFT program that they were able to almost triple the revenue that they were getting on a monthly basis just by signing up membership.
Oh, man. It is, boy. And isn't that the truth? I mean, EFTs and memberships it's the only way to go. Let me go back to a comment that we have here from somebody brought this up, and sorry I get behind on some of the stuff sometimes. Here's someone that says, we used to have staff wearing staff T-shirts, but have since upgraded to branded logo polo shirts and khaki bottoms. I like that. And who's giving me that? Terry. Oh, Terry, thank you again for your comment. And Terry goes on to say, I agree with your panel. Pretty faces sells. And Terry, you are so right. That's always worked for me personally with my pretty face. Always has, so I can understand it. And then here's somebody saying after, okay, oh my goodness, boy, this is going to be a good one. This person says, after talking with John, I hope she's talking about me, a little over a month ago, I started our EFT program based on time commitment versus bed upgrades, and I'm happy to report that we have sold 15 to date in just over a month. Thanks for your assistance, John. Oh my goodness! Where's the applause meter? Oh my gosh! Okay, so let's move on, ladies, because we're running out of time here, and I want to get some more. If I can get this thing to work. Thank you for your kind comment, by the way. Handling price objections. Now every once in a while we do have those. And panelists, how do you handle price objections? Okay, Savannah, you're at the counter. Somebody comes in, and Savannah has got right across the street from her a significant competitor, a competitor that has got, how many outlets do they have in Nashville, Savannah, like 20?
Oh, I'm not really sure. I know in general it's in the hundreds.
It's a lot. And yeah. So you've got a lot of competition. Actually, you've got 2 major chains there in Nashville. And I'm sure once in a while somebody comes in and uses price as an objection. So how do you overcome that?
Benefits, the value of it. And I mean, we're pretty competitive as far as prices go anyway. But we offer a lot of things that, the competing company does not offer. So I stress that a lot.
And what that does is it differentiates you from them.
Right, right.
I mean, when we get to the point in this industry where tanning is a commodity, and that's all that it appears that it is, we're in trouble. So each salon, and I like what Alex says about their brand, and I think that's true. Tropicana has developed, I think, an excellent brand, because with all the competition you've got, Savannah, you guys have done extremely well over the last year, and a lot of that credit goes to you. So I mean, like you said, you talk about features and benefits. Alex, you want to jump in here on price objections?
I think it's so great that Savannah used the word value, because it's really important to differentiate yourself with value, not cost, because the value and the cost are almost, they're related, but they're never the same. So sometimes you're getting a lot more value for your cost, and it's important that the customer understands that they're also investing in an experience. You know, like you're going to pay a lot more for a burger at a steakhouse than you would for a burger at a fast food chain, just because of the experience that you're having while you're there.
Absolutely.
And if you can set yourself apart just on experience, then that alone will justify the price and the value that they're getting for their cost.
And you're absolutely right. I know that if I get a burger at Fridays or one of those family restaurants, there's no question. I mean, that's a better burger than, to me, than Mickey D's. Now, if there's a Mickey D's franchise on here, don't throw a rock my way. But I think you're right. Of course, you're paying for it. You're paying for that experience, too. All right, let's talk about closes. I'm going to put them up here on the board here, and we can comment on. Of course, the premium close, buy this today, and I'll give you this, that, and those. There's the sense of urgency close. These prices and extra goodies are only good through this weekend. The presumptive close. Which of these plans is best for you? Jim Todd, who owns Sunrays down in southern Kentucky, uses this one. I really like this. It's the presumptive. In other words, you're going to buy something, I'm sure, today for everything I've shown you. So which of these plans is best for you? And then what I call the shut up and close. If someone's pull out their credit card and they're ready to sign up, then it's time to stop selling and just close. And then, of course, the get them to say yes, yes, yes close, which says, okay, Savannah uses budget, so okay, so here's your budget, and here's the equipment that we feel is best for you, and this is what your plans are for tanning, and so it's yes, 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 and then, okay, well, let's get out your credit card and let's close. So, Alex, I'm sure I don't have, there's, in the world of selling, there's 50 different close methods. But we're not selling mortgages here. We're selling tanning packages. What do you? Is there a close that you particularly like to use, Alex?
I've honestly used all of these. It really is one of those case-by-case situations. But my preferred method of closing is the sense of urgency. So I like to use words like today and right now. Even if it's a special that we do year-round, I like to say, well, today you would get this, even though they would get it tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. So I like to use the sense of urgency. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah, a sense of urgency close is around us all the time when we're, you're watching your cable TV. It just seems like every car ad. To some degree, it kind of nauseates me sometimes because every time I'm looking at television, it's the Toyota event of the year. And, of course, what it is Toyota has a different sale every single month, and so does Chevy and everybody else. But don't wait, because March 31st, these prices go away. Now, I think in our case, since we don't do that ad nauseum with the customer, I think it does work a little bit better. How about for you, Savannah? What works for you from a close point of view?
Without even thinking about it, I guess I pretty much do the presumptive close. I'll go through my tour with the packages of the tanning, and then I'll explain the benefits of each, and I'll ask, so which one do you think is going to work best for you? And then I'll kind of be quiet for a little bit and let them think about it. Normally they ask me, questions, and then I can still tell them, well, I think for your skin type this is going to be best because you're getting married in a month. So let's try to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's I think Alex said it very well before. You don't use the same clothes at the same time, for every situation, and this is something, by the way, that it takes a lot of experience, to get it to where it's natural, that you in the back of your mind you say, oh, I'm not going to use this one, I'm going to use that one. And I think, Alex, you guys use a lot of role playing, don't you, in your training?
Oh yeah, that's probably one of my favorite things to do. Whenever I'm training a new salon, or like I said earlier, if somebody converts to our brand, a lot of the time that I spend with them is role playing. Like, these are the situations you're most likely going to get, and this is how I would like you to handle them, so that everything, even though it's practiced and it's taught to them, it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
Which gives you the opportunity to give them. Go ahead, Savannah.
No, I was just, and this kind of relates to this, but
what were you saying?
The other day, we were doing training. Can you hear me? Can you still
Yes,
hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear
you. We were doing some training the other day, and I heard something that was just kind of struck a bell with me, I guess. But it was saying, like, certain people have priorities in their life. Like, somebody might not spend a lot of money on clothes, but they spend a ton on their hair and nails. So each client that comes in, take them as painting is their number one priority until they tell you that it's not, and always, assume that they want the best. So I thought that was a good piece of advice.
Yeah, really, no kidding. We've got more questions here, and unfortunately we're running out of time. David, I'd like to do our polls. Are you there, sir?
I am here, and let's go ahead and do those polls. Let me turn my volume down here. Sorry about the echo. So yeah, our first poll here today is, are you a manager, owner, or tenant consultant? That's the one we want to start with, right?
Yes.
Okay. So folks, just go ahead and click on your screen for us real quick here. Manager, owner, consultant. Give everyone just a few seconds here. And great, we've got most of the vote in here. We're going to close it down. 3, 2, 1. All right, so today we have 39% say they're managers, 57% say owners, 4% consultants.
I'm sorry, David, say those numbers again.
Let's see, I just left there. Let me see if I can go back. We had 39% manager, 57% owner, and 4% consultant.
Huh. Well, it's too bad that more consultants weren't on here to listen to these ladies talk about what they do. Let's do the second one, David.
Okay. So for future webinars, what is the best day for your attendance?
Best day of the week.
Please select one. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays.
And that assumes that Monday's crazy for everybody, and nobody wants to be on a webinar on Friday, I guess. So I'm kind of curious here.
All right, we'll close it down in 3, 2, 1. And today's poll for the day of the week says 26% Tuesday, 32% Wednesday, but the majority, the winner, 42% Thursday.
Huh, okay. Well, I guess then so far we're doing it. And then how about and then the last one I think is the time of the day, and that's kind of important to...
Okay, so one last poll here, folks. What time of the day is best for your attendance? Remember, this is the Eastern Standard Time, or Daylight Time. So 1 Eastern, 2 Eastern, 3 Eastern, 4 Eastern, or 5 Eastern. I think we can all assume PM there on those. And let's go ahead and click on the screen, folks, and we'll close it down in 3, 2, 1. And the winner by far is 1 p.m. Eastern.
I'll be darned. Well, we got lucky with holding them on Thursdays and holding them at 1 p.m. Well, that works good. Let me get to, let's see here. Go. I'm going to just jump ahead here, guys, because we're running out of time. And if you have some more questions, if you want to put them into the chat box, and we don't have time to go over retention of customers. Well, let me ask, Alex, what do you guys do on your retention of EFT customers? Use a pause and a freeze, or how do you use that?
We do. We have a freeze policy that customers can opt to do instead of canceling. And what we'll actually do is, as opposed to their regular EFT billing, we will just bill them $5 per month. And then whenever they return, they will get those $5 per month instantly credited back onto their account that they can use in the salon. So it encourages them to not only opt out of canceling, but to return in order to get those $5 per month credited onto their tanning account.
Here's another thought, too, on that, Alex, that what we do with some of our clients is that they not only have this pause or freeze charge of $5, but we also let them tan, but they have to pay at the single session price.
Correct.
And, yeah, okay, so that you probably do the same thing, and that leaves the door open, so we're not telling them, hey, we don't ever want to see you come in unless you're paying your EFT. We want to see you come in, but just know that it's going to cost you more when you're on a freeze status. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Savannah?
Yeah, we do the same thing, but instead of giving the $5 that they pay per month back, we let them pay in for half price any day of the week of the single session price. And like we have a 1 month EFT membership and a 6 month. So if they freeze that, then they don't have to pick back up their 6 month or the 1 month. It just starts back up to where they left it.
And that's the thing about our business. There's really, and about this industry, there's no one correct or successful way to approach it. There's a lot of different ways, and what we do at these webinars, we just try to share with you. And I'm kind of the coolest job in the world because I deal with so many salons. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I just take the best practices of everybody. And if I can just do a quick sell job, if you ever consider using a consultant, of course, our company serves only retail tanning. We don't do fast food and anybody else. That's all we do is tanning. Lots of success with hundreds of salons. You can go to our website and see that, or look on our Facebook. You're going to see a lot of what we call memes on there with testimonials. No two salon companies are alike. Everybody needs to be given special attention because we don't have anything that's packaged. There are some consultants in the business, they sell like direct mail programs and that kind of thing, and that's good. Okay, that's terrific. And that's something that they can take a fee from you and they can download to you, and we can't do that. Everybody that comes to us is unique. As a matter of fact, of the people that are on this, that are attending this webinar, of the owners that are on here, if I had 10 of you in a room and I asked you specifically about how you handle certain aspects of, say, let's say HR, your human resources, I'd have 10 different answers, and they might all be correct, or they might all need some tweaking here and there. So we don't do anything that's packaged. Everything is custom. So when you come to us, what I have to do is I've got to do a lot of listening. So if you need help and you want to sign up for a free consultation that I can give you some idea, that's the other thing too. I think I have better industry numbers than anybody because I get numbers from everyone, and of course they're confidential. Ladies, I really want to thank you for being on today. I don't know what happened to April. I'm going to call her right away when I can because something must have come up. But I want to remind you all the Sun is Life training modules. If you need certification for current and new employees, just go visit their Facebook. I think it's a great program that they have. And, of course, everybody's looking for likes, and so are we. And you can go to johnrfarr.com. And if you want the package, questions to use in a salon interview, Alex, I'd be curious when you take a look at those questions and see what you think of it, or the Mystery Shopping Form, new employee training checklist. There's all kinds of goodies there. Won't cost you anything. All you got to do is download them. And I guess last thing, again, Alex and Savannah, do you have any last comments that you'd like to make here today?
No, I just
No, I had a great time.
My goodness. Okay. Well, gee. I think everybody wants to get off the call. Want to thank everybody, all of our attendees for being on, and I apologize for some questions that didn't get answered. It just happens sometimes. We have so much that we want to share with you. And please, we really could use your feedback on these webinars. I mean, just those polls we did of the day of the week and the time of the week, that was great to have that because that kind of reinforces where we are currently, although if it did not work out that way, we probably would have changed the webinar day and time. So, but we could use your information. So at the end of this, when we shut this down, please, if you would, fill out the survey. It's a report card. You can say how beautiful these women are that we're giving presentations today, or how old I am, or something like that. So please do that survey. And David, any final comment from you?
No, yeah, everything was great. Thanks a lot for joining us, everyone.
And listen, the next one is the 17th of April, and on the 17th of April, we're going to have the 4 best lotion manufacturing representatives, and we're going to talk about the best practices of selling lotions. It's not going to be a commercial for their specific lines. It's going to be a best practices presentation, and I think it's going to be real cool. And that's the 17th of April, which is, again, Thursday. Although, you know, having talked about the time, unfortunately, that one has to be at 5 o'clock Eastern, and I think it's we have an issue with our software that we can't use it at 1 o'clock Eastern. We're going to have to use it at 5 o'clock. So even thanking you for giving us that feedback. There's no way to get out of that 5 o'clock on Thursday the 17th. Well, Alex, thank you very much. We'll let you back to your job, and Savannah, the same thing. And David, I think we're ready to sign off, and I hope you people have an excellent April.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, John.